Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer. Get ready to do the countdown, episode number 108. That's right, fans, and we're live. And this week, I'm on my own. This week, was scheduled to have a co-host, but unfortunate things had happened to my co-host this week, and so he could not be on the air, unfortunately. But I'm here, and that's the thing that matters right now. So hopefully you guys hold on here. I'm having some issues. Get ready to do the countdown, episode number 108. That's right, fans, and we're live. And this week I'm on my own. This week Okay, I think that's better. The thing started playing on its own. That's messed up. Anyway, luckily, no viewers are on while that was going on. But when you listen to this live, when you listen to this on the playback, I guess it's going to show up. But anyway, we are on episode number 108. We have 16 comic books to talk about this week. Guys, if you ever want to be on the show, audience members, just leave me a message in the comments box below, and I'll be sure to get you on the show one week, and it'll be great to discuss comic books with you. So again, 16 books to talk about all together this week, fans, and let's get started, shall we? So number 16 on this week's list, the worst of the worst, the one where I just did not like, and that one goes to Secret Wars Battle World, issue number whatever it is, 3. I thought this one would be a cool issue, being that it had all the different types of Wolverines inside the issue, and this was just a nightmare. This was rough. I didn't like the artwork in this book, and the story was way out there. Now, usually the saving grace of Battle World is that there's another story in here because it's an anthology book, and you get another story that might be pretty good. But I didn't like that story either. That story was horrible. It had to do with Deadpool. And it was just, the artwork in both stories were really rough. And I was just like, oh man, no, Battle World. But the first issue had to deal with like Wolverine and all these different types of Wolverines. And Mojo was in the issue. And I'm just like, well, what's going on? He's like this radio show guy. And all of a sudden you get to see all the different Wolverines. Now, right up to here, it was good. And that's the second page. After the second page, it was horrible. I didn't know what was going on. You got this Logan sitting here in the middle of the ocean. He was like the peacekeeper of all the Logans. And then they just started fighting each other for some reason. I didn't even know what the hell was happening. Again, the facial expressions in here were just absolutely hysterical. And I was just like, oh my God, what's going on in this book? And so I flip it. And then you just got all these other Wolverines around the peacekeeping one or whatnot. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm like, well, what's the second one going to be in store for? What's the next story here? And the next story had to do with Deadpool and Lockjaw. And Deadpool, I don't know, this particular way he was drawn, his humor in here wasn't funny. They were talking about fart jokes. He's trying to ride Devil Dinosaur. And I was just like, this is stupid. And I'm like, I wasted $3.99 on this one this week. And I was so frustrated by reading this week. I was like, oh, man. So now that we're in like the fourth issues going into Secret Wars, I'm legitimately making cuts now when it comes to them because I've read enough issues to where I can see myself invested in certain stories and ones that I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to read this anymore. And this one, I think I am still going to continue to read because some of these stories have been entertaining for me. This was just the least favorite issue of all of them by far, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think about this particular issue? Battle World, Wolverines, Deadpool in here. Did you guys read this one? Did you even spend $3.99? Hopefully, maybe you guys didn't because you know, you were smarter than I did, and you didn't waste your money on this comic book. But if you didn't read this and you're wondering if you should go out and read this, don't, because it is bad. And I give this one a 1 out of 5 stars. All right, and that was my number 16 pick of the week. So guys, if you have any comments, go ahead and write your comments down, and I will go through them as we go, and I'll take your comments, any questions, things like that. I'll be happy to answer them as we go. I'm trying to find it on my Nook right now, and yeah, so that's what we'll do. Any of you guys saw Ant-Man this weekend? I did not. So let me know. Tell me what you think of how it was. Was it worth watching? Was it worth it? Your hard-earned cash to watch that movie? Was it funny? Was it slow? Was it the best Marvel movie you've seen? Things like that. So again, leave me those comments below on what you think. So I want to welcome Nick Lenz. He's watching the show right now, and he says, "What did you know that Marvel Triple Action? What did you know that Marvel Triple Action is a reprint book?" I did not know that Marvel Triple Action is a reprint book. A comic you could get is Ant-Man Annual #1. It was really good. And Nick says, "Hi, Mike." Triple Action book behind me, as you can see right here. I did not know it was a reprint. What is it a reprint of, Mr. Nick Lenz? Can you tell me? I would like to know. Here I have a Marvel team-up book. That's a Spider-Man and the Invincible Iron Man. I think that's an original printing. I could be wrong, though. So let me know in those comments if you know. All right, so moving forward now that we have Nick watching the show, we are going to go on to number 15. And number 15 was kind of a book that I just did not grab me. It did not get my attention. I felt that this was a miss for me. I did not feel part of the book when I was reading it because of the artwork. And it had to do with Siege issue #1. And this one had to do with Abigail Brand, who is one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. maidens, and she's been sworn into duty to protect the S.H.I.E.L.D. at all costs. And it has nothing to do with Siege, the event that you read a few years back. It's completely something different that has to go on to Battle World. In certain aspects, I felt that the artwork kind of worked here in these, you know, this 2-page spread in here, just to show you how desolate and dark the S.H.I.E.L.D. area actually is. You know, and it's an interesting style of artwork. But for me, with a person like Abigail, she's another one of those characters where I love to see her, and I love to see her facial expressions. And it just didn't grab me. I just didn't feel involved into the comic. You can see in the background here, it was just all painted, you know, it was like a painting style type of art. It was like, it was all blue and dark, and I didn't really know where they were. I mean, again, you can see that in the environments in the background of it. I didn't feel just part of the book. You learn about certain situations that happened within the S.H.I.E.L.D. 30 years ago or 20 years ago, and it feels like there's these false memories that Doom imprinted in all these characters. Kang shows up in this issue, and we learn about what happened to the wall. It's like at one point it fell apart, and Kang comes here and he warns Abigail and whatnot, and then what happens is he winds up fighting himself, and he winds up like killing himself at the end of it. So I thought that part of the issue was pretty cool. However, the rest of the issue it didn't really capture me. And at the end of it, it kind of says, "Time before the fall of the S.H.I.E.L.D., 20 days and counting, there is no hope. And if the S.H.I.E.L.D. falls, all hell is going to break loose on Battle World." Now, it seems like an interesting concept, but that first issue was just really dull and really boring, and didn't accomplish that much for me. But I am going to give the second issue a try, because again, it takes time to tell a story, and some of these stories are 4, 5, 6 issues long, and this is the first issue of Siege. So I'm definitely going to give it another try, even though I didn't feel a part of the book the artwork didn't capture me. I am, again, going to continue to read it. So after reading this one, I'm going to give this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars. All right, and that was number 15. Number 14 was Green Lantern and the Lost Army, issue number 2. I kind of liked the first one because it had some type of mystery to it. We got to see these crystals. They were capturing all these types of lanterns in there, and they were dying, and the lanterns showed up in space for whatever reason we don't know. And then they came across this red pyramid like thing, and Guy Gardner shows up, and they call him the Christmas Lantern. And so it was kind of a little bit comical. Well, in this issue, I felt like it was almost the same thing. They were floating around in space. Nothing really happened. They come across what is, I guess they know, in the first Red Lanterns or whatever, the original Rage Lanterns, you know? And so I was just like, okay. And in the beginning of this issue, you find out a little bit about, you know, Stewart and, again, his days back in the Army and whatnot. And then they come across this relic type of thing, and I'll get back to why I said it's a relic. And they wind up using their power battery, or their rings, as like it was like a power battery, even though it's not. And it gave them like pure energy. So right as their rings were being depleted and they were doing this battle, it charges their rings up to like 200%. So you're like, damn, dude, that's 200%. That's pretty badass. They're gonna fight. You know, John Stewart gets captured in the crystal, and you think he's gonna perish, but no, that's not gonna happen. He would never die, and he breaks out of the crystal, and you can see that here. He's just like, ah, he like freaks out, you know. And then you know, you get to see them again power up, and they charge up that whole thing. And then by the time you get to the end of this issue, you wind up finding out that they're misplaced in time, or they're in a different dimension, or something's going on. And they find out that they come across, out of all people, Relic. I was like, really? They're coming across Relic? Out of all these villains, after all these Rage Red Lantern guys kind of flew, we come across Relic. I was like, out of all the villains here, and I was surprised. So I'm not sure what to think of that. You know, I wasn't a huge Relic fan in the beginning. I thought it was a good idea, and then he got captured in the Source Wall, and now all of a sudden these lanterns are in this different time, and Relic is here, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm still going to read it. I just thought it was okay. I mean, the artwork was okay. They dismissed these guys really quickly. We'll see what happens. I don't know. 3 stars for me, average. If you want to pick it up, that's up to you. But again, it's not necessary. You know, it is, how much is it? $2.99? $2.99. So if you want, go ahead, but it's not necessary. You're not going to die if you don't read it. So, all right. So we got a few more comments in here. We got 6 comments, and let's see what I got. The issue, Nick Len says, the issue of the triple action is the issue that I have is the reprints of Avengers issue number 26. That's cool. Just means that's worth absolutely nothing, but it's a cool story to read. And then Nick says, when would you like to have me on as a co-host again? So once I rotate through everyone, Nick, I would love to have you on again. Let's see. And Kabir says, Ant-Man was a solid movie, reflected the tone of the Nick Spencer comic. And that's what I was hoping for with the Ant-Man movie. I was hoping that it would reflect on that Nick Spencer comic book, because Nick Spencer comic was phenomenal, and I love his writing. It's that light humor type of, you know, style, and I'm hopeful that I will get a chance to see it maybe this week. I just didn't get a chance. A lot of stuff going on at the house right now, but it looks good. I saw some of the box office numbers. It did a projection. I think it did just under 50. I think it did $58 million. They expected it to do 60 to 65 million. This was one of the movies that was probably like their third worst opening for a Marvel movie, but it still debuted at #1, which is good. So I think it was behind Captain America, The Incredible Hulk, and I think was it Thor? I'm not sure. I think it was one of those three. So, and it was going up against Minions, which is on its second week, I think it was. So it's tough. Excuse me. I think Ant-Man is that type of thing where if you don't know Ant-Man, it's got to take a lot of convincing for people to see it. Now, Marvel has that brand of having successful movies, but when you look at Ant-Man, in my opinion, people just don't go and say, "Oh, hey guys, I want to see Ant-Man." You know, little kids. When you saw Spider-Man, kids know Spider-Man. Kids know The Incredible Hulk. You know, Fantastic Four, X-Men. People know that. You know, Ant-Man is one of those characters where it's a little bit of a stretch. You know, you got to reach out there and trust Marvel if they're going to do a good job, you know. So that's why I think the numbers are a little bit lower on there. And I think it's going to be a type of movie where it's a word of mouth. When people say, yeah, it was really good, you should go see it, I think you're going to see more consistent numbers from that movie, and it'll go for a long haul. All right, so there's my little soapbox on the old Ant-Man situation, but I will see it eventually. All right, so now we're going to go on and we're going to talk about number 13 this week. And number 13 goes to Superman Wonder Woman, issue number 19. I don't know what to really think about Superman Wonder Woman. You know, in this book, it opens up with the Suicide Squad, and I feel like they're like putting the Suicide Squad on here just to, you know, say, hey, here's the Suicide Squad. There's a movie coming out, because they sit there and they send out the Suicide Squad. We hear that, you know, everyone's after you, Superman, but we had nothing to do with stealing the graveyards or your parents' house or any of that stuff. So they're just battling Superman and Wonder Woman through here. And the artwork was really pretty. I really liked the way the book looked. And you get to see some good action scenes in this particular issue. And what happens is Clark kind of gets the shit beat out of him. And it's cool seeing Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was good in this issue. She spoke nice. She looked good in this issue. She was doing some damage in here. But you get to see Superman, you know, all the Suicide Squad members sitting there going, oh, you're not as strong as you used to be. Oh, you're just like a mere mortal. And this was like most of the issue. And then what happens is just when you think Superman and Wonder Woman have them taken out, you wind up seeing that what's this called? Superman getting shot, okay? And he winds up getting shot a lot. And you would think that he would be more injured than he was, but he does have a whole bunch of holes in his chest and everything else. And he doesn't die, but he gets severely injured. And you get to see some pretty good dialogue between the two characters, how Wonder Woman will always be there for him no matter what, even if he's vulnerable. And then, you know, Superman sits there and talks to Wonder Woman and says, no, he's like, you can lose in battle. I don't want you to babysit me. I don't want you to take care of me. I can do what I can. And it was just tough seeing Superman this way. You know, and especially for her, it was hard to see that. And she was sitting there and she was going, well, what happens if these bullets are going to go through you one day and it's going to kill you? So there were some good and interesting moments in there. And then Superman at the end wants to sit there and he says he wants to visit the president. So I wasn't sure what was going on at the end of this book and who Amanda Waller was talking to at the end of this issue. So if you guys want to enlighten me on who you think that was, that would be great. But my thing is Superman's wearing just a regular t-shirt, right? That's what he's just wearing, and his other shirt got torn up. How many of these shirts did he actually buy and did they make? Because when he bought these shirts, weren't they on clearance? Right? When you read the Action Comics book, he bought like 1 or 2 shirts, right? And it seems like he has like a ton of these. And when he's in battle, I feel like they're just going to get torn up. It's just a regular cotton shirt. It's not like it's his Kryptonian suit, right? Am I right or am I wrong? So how many of these shirts did he buy at the local drugstore. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I'm pointing out here to you guys. So this book was cool. It was entertaining. It was good fight scenes in here. And I enjoyed it for what it was. It's kind of almost filler more than anything. A couple good dialogue moments in there. So I give this one a 3.25 out of 5 stars. Nothing that blew me out of the water. And that was number 13. Yep, number 13. So let me check and see if we have any more comments going on before we go on to number 12. Let me refresh them here. I appreciate you guys watching the show right now. We have about 4 people watching. And like I said, if I have 1 person watching, that's good, especially for this time of the day. All right. So any more comments? I only got 1 more comment, so that's 7 comments. Now let me look at the most recent one. Green Lantern, Lost Army, number 2 was pretty good, but not perfect. Interesting read, though. Yes, it was interesting. I'm just not a Relic fan. I'm really not. And Nicolan's made that comment, so we'll see where that goes. All right. Again, guys, any comments on any of the comics you read this week would be great. Tell me your favorite comic of the week. Tell me your least favorite comic of the week. Maybe tell me all the stuff that you read of the week, what you're most looking forward to reading next week, things like that. Any comments, guys, I'll be glad to take them. All right, so 16, 15, 14, 13, going on to number 12. Number 12 this week is Silver Surfer issue number 13 for me. I normally don't read Silver Surfer, but this was thrown in my box because my comic book store made a deal with the customers that shop there, all the subscribers that shop there, where if you buy all the Secret War #1 issues and the last day of or whatever was on that battle board, you get a free $20 gift card. So I opted in to do this. And so I didn't realize this was on the battle board. So I was like, all right, well, I haven't really read. I think I read 3 issues of Silver Surfer. And so now I'm reading issue number 13. All I know is that Dan Slott writes this book, and we get to have Silver Surfer, who's been dating, well, kind of been going on space adventures with this chick, Dawn. I think that was her name, right? Yeah, Dawn Greenwood. And apparently in the last issue, they hooked up a little bit. They shared a kiss. They were getting some romantic feelings with each other. And now they're going to go back to Earth. But before they go back to Earth, they want to visit all the people that they've come across on their galactic adventure. And what happens is, let me see. I'm trying to find out. And then, so what happens is while they're visiting everybody and having a good time, and we have pretty cool artwork for this book. I mean, it's all right if you like Allred's artwork. I think it's pretty neat. He did the FF artwork from All New Marvel Now or Marvel Now. And as you see this, you wind up seeing that I guess it was one of these queen or whatever it was. She was disappearing, and everything is being sucked away. Like all the timelines, everything that's happening, all the people they knew, everyone is going away. And what happens is Silver Surfer takes Dawn and through this tries to ride on his board to outrun this time stream or whatever it was before it catches up for him, before they become non-existent anymore. And we get to see this through a couple pages of the issue, and it was pretty cool, like, pretty good paneling here. I liked it, and you can see the desperation on his face because they don't want to get wiped away from existence. So you're like, oh wow, what's kind of happening? And Silver Surfer tells Dawn, hey, don't look back because shit just got real here. And you wind up seeing that the Earth blows up, and it's just like, oh damn. And so what happens is they wind up seeing this tear in the actual time stream or whatnot, something like you would see in Flash, and they go and they cut through it, and they come through here, and it's just like, it's just absolute nothing. And you're just like, okay, that's weird. And then they come across like the eternity of doom or whatnot, and I was like, wow, that's weird too. And then they wind up seeing like all the heroes from that survived from the incursion from Secret Wars. And then they come across this guy called the Glorian, and they're in this, I don't know what's going on at the end of this, but at the end of it, I was like, the death of everything that ever was or ever will be is what it's called. And then it's just, they're on this face. I'm like, I don't get it. I kind of was like missing something there, and I was just like, it's the shaper of worlds, and with his infinite power and boundless form, we shall remake the universe. Yeah, I'm not sure there. I was like, wow, that's kind of way out there, but I guess that's how it tied into Secret Wars. And I like this page too. I like how we get the next page. So I don't know if they're reshaping the universe or whatever it is. But it was a pretty wild adventure. It was a cool cosmic adventure to see these two go on. And it wasn't bad. It was worth reading. It didn't blow me out of the water. The ending was weird. But I'm going to give it 3.25 out of 5 stars. It was definitely worth a read. Definitely worth my $3. And I might see the next issue and see where it goes. So that was number 13, 16, 15, 14, 13. I'm sorry, number 12. And now we're going to go on to number 11. Number 11 was Armor Wars issue number 3. Here we get to see Carrie, who sits in front of the gravesite of Peter Ulrich, and who was Spider-Man. And Carrie was the girlfriend of Peter in this particular world. And then you get to see different Iron Man doing battle in this issue. So the one thing that is wrong with this book is that I guess it's Marcio Takara. James Robinson is the writer. The problem with this book, and I think this book has really great potential. When I read the half issue that was given away at Toys R Us, Mark Bagley did the artwork. And the artwork in that issue was absolutely phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. It was just a pleasure to look at. It's something that you would expect from an Iron Man series. Because when you have something that's taking place and you have all these Iron Men around, you want that attention to detail. And in this book, it continues to be blotchy. Certain areas in here, there's thick ink lines. Things just don't work. You don't always see, the faces really well. This is like Machine Men in here. This was a security protocol that was going on. Machine Men are awesome. Like, I would love to see the detail that would go into them in this book, and you really don't. And then you get to see this flashback here with Spider-Man, and it's just, again, it's a shame because the detail lost is just, it's so bad, and it's rough. So that's one of the big things I have with this. This issue continues to go and try to find Peter's murderer on what happened, and trying to get all the information gathered from his iron suit because he figured out what caused the disease, why everyone has to wear armor in this world to begin with. And he was murdered. Same with, I think it was Peter Ulrich. It was the same, or not Peter, Ben Ulrich was the same thing. He was the one that got murdered too. So there was a connection there. And throughout this issue, you wind up seeing that Iron Man looks like he's going after his brother Arno in this issue, as you see these protocols. And they look like they're starting to do this battle here, okay? And then what happens when they both fall to the ground and they're doing this fight, they're just like being brothers, and they're like, hey, that's fun. And I'm like, okay, you're like arch rivals. You just did this huge battle against each other, and you're laughing at each other. So that was interesting. And then at the end, we get to find out that Curie is developing this super huge armor, and her company's name stands for, what was it called? Means moving fortress. So she's creating this ginormous iron armor or whatever it is to go against everybody. And then at the end, you wind up seeing Rhodes and the Kingpin doing battle against each other. But this is an example of the artwork here. This is a 2-page spread, or at least half of one, and this is the detail that you get, and that frustrates me in a book like that. And for me, when you have a book that has to do with all these Iron Men in here, I don't know. I like more attention to detail here. So I don't know if they were going for a type of anime type of style, but it really bothered me. And the story in this one was okay. It wasn't really monumental or jaw-dropping this time around. It just kind of continues where we last left off. We know who created, we know that Peter found why all these people were wearing the armor. Let's get to it already. It kind of just skips over that right now. So again, this book was okay. 3.25 out of 5 stars. Didn't blow me out of the water. Just above average for me. As these issues progress, it's like we get to see if these Secret War books are really solid stories all the way through, or they start off strong and kind of fizzle out until just delaying time, obviously, until the new Marvel comes out. So we'll see as this goes if this story picks up. All right. So before we move on, we're going to check our comments. And guys, in the comments below, tell me what you guys think about Secret Wars up to this point. How many of these books are you still reading? How many of them do you find interesting? Let me know in those comments. All right, so let me pull up the new ones. All right. All right, so Nick Len says about the Superman Wonder Woman, it would be Vic Sage as Amanda Waller's partner. Vic Sage was the guy that was in the Suicide Squad, the asshole. Yeah, it makes sense. And you know what? I kind of thought about it, but I couldn't remember the guy's name too. So that was the most recent comment there. Do you remember seeing Kyle Rayner hitting major force with construct of a refrigerator? It happened in Battle of Bloodhaven number 6. No, I did not. And obviously we know why, he does that, because Kyle Rayner's girlfriend gets shoved into a refrigerator in his early series in the 1990s. So that's pretty awesome though. Let's see, 24, 30. All right. And Kabir says, I ended up dropping Batman, Superman, and Superman Wonder Woman because they came up off lackluster to me, and opted to stick with reading Action Comics and Superman for the truth storyline. Kabir, that's something that's been on the fence for me as well. I've been sticking with it because I want to see how Superman, this version of Superman, interacts with his other characters. And I said this in last week's episode, where I felt that Superman should have taken the time, this version of Superman should have taken the time before he interacts with his other characters, especially when it comes to Batman, even the Superman Wonder Woman series. I think it should be delayed for a little bit. If Wonder Woman was to come into his series, maybe a little bit, that would be different. But I feel his story in Action Comics is the best. And then I feel I was a little disappointed with the actual Superman title, because they're going again before he lost his powers. So I think the Action Comics one is the best one so far. So we'll see where it goes. I want to keep reading it because I want to see Superman's journey, and then I want to see his return back to the way he was, or hopefully he does. So we'll see what happens. All right, so we have Justin, who was on last week's show as co-host, and says, how's it going, Mike? It was mainly a Marvel week for me. So many Secret War tie-ins. Ha ha ha. That's right. It is a lot of Secret War stuff is dominating. Again, it's one of those things that a lot of people are gravitating to. The stories are pretty good. It keeps you interested. It wasn't one of those. It's not one of those events that it's a complete loss. And the way Marvel is doing it is, these stories are taking 4, 5, 6 months, and it's literally making the universe start over. That's the way it's feeling when the all new, all different Marvel comes out, because they're taking a long break, and you're getting these alternate versions of all the characters that we've known for years and years. All right, so next we're going to move on, and we go on to number 10, top 10. We're cracking the top 10. And this one goes to Years of Future Past, issue number 3. This one has Lockheed on here. doing this battle against this Sentinel. Unfortunately, it only had to do with a couple of these pages, and we find out that he's like mutated and he's grown up, and he does this crazy battle against the Sentinel. It's pretty awesome to see. I like the beginning of this book, and we find out that after this huge battle against these Doom Sentinels are on here, which was cool artwork. I like this. This is actually probably like my favorite part of the book. And when we find out when Lockheed gets defeated, and we find out that our mutants go to like a safe haven or whatever it is, which is a church that is in charge by Nightcrawler, we find out all these secrets about the children of can't think of the name right now, of Kitty Pryde and Colossus and Wolverine. And so we find out that that they're brother and sister in this issue. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, it's Christina Pryde and Cameron. We find out that they're brother and sister in here. And instead of being the ones to hook up to keep the human race alive. And you get to see a lot of character moments in this book. And, I love the first issue of this. And then for some reason, this has dropped off for me a little bit. It's good to see the relationship that these two have developed throughout this series already, I think, which is nice. But again, there's so much dialogue and so much talking. I just feel like there's not much progressing the story here. They just are constantly running away from danger, and that's all they've been doing. Nothing here besides, we know that they're the last two young mutants to try to keep the race alive. We know that, and then by the time we get to the end of this issue, they got to try to save some other mutants, and we find out that it's a trap. And this is what happens at the end of this issue. And they're like, oh, what makes you think that we need saving? Because they're happy to be there. And you get to see a few of the other Pyro and some of the other, I think it was Earthquake there and whatnot. So you get to see a couple other guys in there. Is that Emma Frost? Or Mask? Or wait, who is that? Who's that? You guys tell me that in the comments below. I wasn't sure. She's wearing like a helmet or something. So again, this one was okay. It was good, but it just, it's just slightly above average. It's still entertaining enough to be like, okay, I want to find out what happens at the end of it. But it wasn't anything that like really blew me out of the water. There's just a lot of standing around, just like we're moving from one place to one place to one place to one place. And the jaw dropper here was to find out that they were brother and sister. Makes sense, right? I mean, Kitty, Logan, Kitty, Colossus, makes sense, it's crazy. But yeah, so it was okay issue. So that was number 10. All right, so next we go on into number 9, and number 9 is a new book by a publishing company called Last Ember Press. This is called Pneumatic Cases. And if you've not heard of Last Ember Press, you guys can go on the lastemberpress.com, check it out. It's actually a publishing company that's just been newly created by a couple of members of Comic Frontline by the name of Brent Fowler and Lisa Moore, who are all involved in comics to begin with all the time, and also John Wilson, who actually created and wrote this book. And Pneumatic Cases is about a couple who just solves detective work, and it takes place in like these Victorian times. And this is a pretty cool. The book has nice artwork. It's good coloring. I felt that the artwork and the tone of the book really fits the timeline of what they were trying to achieve here. And we get to see our couple here, who actually is who is excuse me, who is very much involved with each other. You can tell that they love what they do and that they love with each other. And they're in love with each other. And when they have someone that is murdered on the street, we get to see them go right into their investigation. It's like a CSI type of thing. And they've come up to all these conclusions on how this murder happened and whatnot. And we get to see them solve this case as the issue goes along. And But at the end of this issue, we wind up finding out that these, when they're getting really close to solving the case, obviously these two are going to they're trying to get murdered. They throw in a flaming bottle in there, which is pretty cool. And we get to see that they come up with a solution in order to put the fire out. And they wind up going to a certain place. I don't want to give too much away because I would love to you guys buy this. They go to a certain place to try to solve this case. And of course, before they go there, they want to get intimate with each other. So it was really cool. This was a fun book. I really enjoyed it. It's a procedural type of book, and it has these, cool guns. And again, it takes place in the Victorian times. And I think this is one that you guys maybe should check out. Go on to lastemberpress.com. Give it a try. There's a couple other books that are due out as well. So this got number 9 this week. Let me make sure. 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. This was number 10. So yeah, good stuff here. So check out Pneumatic Cases. All right. So next we go on to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Number 8. Number 8 is Battle World Inhumans Antillean Rising. In this issue, you get to see Black Bolt do some kick-ass battle with Medusa, and this was a really great read here. One of the things that is really well done is John Timms does great artwork. Charles Soules does the writing. I want to give it out to the colorist in this one too, Frank D'Armata. I think the art is brilliant. It really makes the issue in here, especially when you get to see these types of battle scenes throughout here. The attention to detail is phenomenal. And this is what I was talking about when I wanted from Armor Wars. Medusa is stunning looking. She's a character that is just like, you can tell that she has royalty and that she's in charge, and the expression on her face, you can see the concern for her. And I was just like, wow, that's really well done. And we get to see these pages in here too. So I was just like, wow, this is a beautiful book to look at. And the action continues here as Black Bolt is rebelling against Doom, and Medusa's troops have to go after and try to capture him. And you get to see this battle that goes back and forth between the characters on who you think's going to win, who do you think's going to lose. I mean, and it's just awesome. And when these two go after each other, it was just like, oh wow. And you think that Black Bolt gets the upper hand in this issue, and he's like, it's over, put your people down. He's like, I'm gonna win. And he's like, just let my people go and you can have me, I'm all yours. And so what happens is at the end of this issue, well, sure as hell not, Medusa winds up putting freaking Black Bolt into the ground, and in a hard way, just like this here. And I was like, man, that's a freaking awesome page right there. So the thing that this book does is it leaves you hanging with, did Medusa agree to the terms and sit there and let Black Bolt, actually, submit himself, or did she actually truly did win this fight and now she's in complete control? So cool book's got a lot of action in here, great artwork, great coloring. I'm going to give this one a 3.75 out of 5 stars. All right, so next we're going to go on to number 7. Number 7 this week was another Secret Wars book, and this was Planet Hulk issue number 3. This issue felt a little fillerish for me, as in the past issues. I felt that this was like a top-notch, Secret Wars book, but this was the first time where this book dropped off a little bit for me. Not much really happened here. The book is written, continues to be written by Sam Humphries, and Mark Lamming does the artwork. The one thing that never drops off of this is the artwork, and you guys know, again, attention to detail. Love this underwater scene where you have Steve Rogers going against this gamma radiated creature that goes under the water. I love the battle here between these these three here, where you got the Gamma Creature and Devil Dinosaur, and you got Doc Green in there. So the beginning of this book is really action packed. You're not sure if Devil Dinosaur is gonna, pull out, and you're just like, wow, this is awesome. Great start. And then what happens is after Devil Dinosaur wins, and it's just like he never loses. He's my war partner or whatever. He's war bound, and you get to see a cool moment between these two, which Devil Dinosaur reminds you of like this dog. It's cool. And then the book for me, it kind of slips down a little bit. You get a cool little flashback with Bucky and Steve Rogers on them doing battle, and how they're always going to be at each other's side. And that's kind of how Devil Dinosaur is to Steve Rogers in this issue. But towards the latter half of this book, you wind up seeing them continue their journey to the Mud Kingdom to do the battle against the Red King. And there was a lot of dialogue here, not much that was going on. There was him and Doc Green, Steve Rogers and Doc Green were arguing back and forth about, about taking over Doom and how he doesn't need Doc and things like that. And I was just like, okay, there's this storm brewing and things like that. So there was a lot of filler pages towards the middle part of this book. And by the time you get to the end of it, you wind up seeing Steve Rogers getting attacked, and he gets attacked by some of the Hulk-like creatures through here. And that left with a good cliffhanger, because we're going to see what these Hulk guys or these Hulk troops are going to do in the future. So I thought this was, I thought this for the beginning and the end were cool. The middle was okay for me. So this week it didn't quite get that 4-star rating, but it got a 3.75 book. No way am I ever dropping this, though, because for me, this has been probably, besides Secret Wars itself, probably my favorite. This and Ultimates, I think, have been my favorite Secret War books so far. So 3.75 out of 5 stars for me. All right, so now we're going to go on to more comments. And let me just get them reloaded. So we have 19 comments altogether. And did you read the Fury of Firestorm, the Nuclear Man series, when it was around? I did not, Nick. Again, when it comes to a lot of DC stuff, I did not read. I've always been a Marvel person. It wasn't up until recently until I dove into DC, which was the New 52. And it even took me a little while to get into that, where I tried more and more titles. And I kind of liked the New 52. And now, ever since Convergence has come out, and they've kind of are like, well, it's creative over continuity, where you have some of your heroes. If you want to read your Superman, you're going to read Justice League. If you read this, you're going to read that. And if you want to read this person's character, I'm like kind of a little bit turned off on that, because it makes me feel that a company doesn't know what they want to do. They're just kind of like going with the flow here. And looks like they're trying to appease everybody. And I feel that you can't. And I feel that you need some kind of direction, because if you continue to go on to this direction, I feel that people are not going to know honestly what's going on with certain characters. They're going to be like, why is Superman in his red and blue in this title? And why is he not powered up in this title? Why is Batman in a mech suit in one title that don't know that he's Jim Gordon? And why is he here in this title? Why is he in Justice League in this title? It seems like Batman is everything but Batman. You get to see him in Justice League right now, where he's like this new god, and you get to see him in his Batman title, where he's like amnesic or whatever he is now. I don't know, but a lot of things about DC is really weird on what's going on for me. So we'll see. All right. Nick says, I like Batman, Superman more than Superman, Wonder Woman, because I'm a Batman fan. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Let's see, anything else that I got down here? Did you know the Battle for a Bloodhaven limited series was written by Justin Gray and Jimmy Paolometti with artwork by Jan Durgans? I did not. If you can leave me a comment, Nick, on that one, let me know when that came out. I would love to try to read that. And if it's available on trade, I would try to get it. Do you think Marvel's topping DC this month in manner of storytelling? Absolutely. I really do. I think when it comes to the Secret Wars, I think there was definitely a plan in place to tell solid stories. And I think when it comes to DC, um, I I don't know. I just think that again, they're a little bit all over the place, and you have to have an acquired taste for a lot of their books now. I mean, if you're not a fan of Batmite, if you're not a fan of Bizarro, if you're not a fan of some of these other new limited series that are out, it leaves you with half a company to work with, because half of their books are limited series, and then the other half are ongoing series that can kind of continued from the New 52. So based off of last month's sales, um, Marvel was on top. Excuse me. This month's sales, I don't know. We'll see. But personally, me, I'm a Marvel fan, so I'm automatically going to gravitate to Marvel. It's just me. I like their darker side. I mean, I like their lighter side of things. I just think their universe is not so complicated. It's just me, though. Some people completely get everything that has happened over the years, but every time you read certain books, there's so much going on with them that it's just like, God, you got to be a real DC historian to remember a lot of things that's going on. So we'll see what happens. Let's see if I got any more in here. 7 minute Hawkeye 22 was awesome. Yes, that book, I did not read it because it's just taken forever for that series to finally conclude. I'm glad it was a good ending. I think Matt Fraction did a great job with that series. I read most of it, but I just got tired with the delays, so it wasn't worth my money anymore. Holger Peterson. In total, there are a few Secret War tie-ins, too much, but I find yet many still good. This week, I like Guardians of Nowhere, Planet Hulk #3, Captain Marvel and the Carol Corps, and Where Monsters Dwell #3. Also, I enjoyed Hawkeye #22, Ant-Man Annual #1, and the worst the worst book was Secret Wars Battle World #3. I haven't read much DC books so far, but I will do it tonight. And Mr. Holger Peterson, I agree with you 100%, because if you were on this show when I started this countdown, Battle World was my worst pick too, and it got a 1 out of 5 stars. Okay, let's see. Anybody else? No, that is it right now. So we'll move forward now, and we're getting close to that top pick of the week. We're going on to, I think, number 6. And guys, thank you for all the comments. Have any questions? Again, please let me know. We're going to keep trugging along here. So next we go on to number 6. And number 6 was Hell Hydra, issue #1. I like this issue. It really surprised me. It definitely got over 4 stars for me. I love seeing Hydra being the founder of like New York and pretty much in charge of everything. And we wind up seeing Nomad in this issue, who takes a ride on the infinite elevator, and he winds up going to this different time. And it was cool because you get to see this past in here throughout the issue, and seeing him make the decision on who he wanted to be called, if he wanted to be called Leopold or Ian, and it just kind of left it at that. And then you find him out and he's just in the Hydra area, and he winds up finding this person. His name was Chris. He's kind of a escapee, and Hydra actually captures him, and they want to burn him because he never wanted to become Hydra. In this issue, you get to see a lot of action between Nomad and some of the Hydra agents through here. There was good detail, nice fight scenes, great paneling. We get to see how strong Ian actually is, and how he's willing to save even just one human life, and he wasn't going to leave him behind. We get to see Agent Warden here, which I thought was pretty cool. And he kind of looks like this. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's Agent Warden. I thought that was cool. And Captain America winds up saving this guy in the end. and he's trying to get information from him, and they wind up blowing up one of their Zola's like safe houses or whatnot, or supply houses. And then what happens in the end is when he's trying to get information from this guy, the dude gets a shield right through his neck and decapitates him. I was like, oh damn! I'm like, that shit's crazy right there. I'm like, that is insane. And you wind up seeing that it's like a Captain America Hydra guy. You know, I was like, oh wow, he's got a shield and everything. I'm like, who is that? And I was right away, I was thinking, who can that be? And right away, Ian and this Hydra America guy are doing this battle, and he knocks off his helmet, and he finds out that he's fighting himself. And I was like, oh damn, that's crazy right there. And I was like, so where did this version of himself come from? You know? So I thought that was very interesting. So the book had a lot of artwork. It didn't deal with too many characters. It was just really Nomad himself, and then fighting against this Captain America wannabe character or himself. And you know, you're not really sure what direction the book is going to go from here, and what really the purpose is, besides Hydra being in complete control. But still, it was an entertaining read, and it got to focus on a character that maybe we might want to learn a little bit more in the future. You know, so I liked Hail Hydra issue #1. I gave it like a 4.25 out of 5 stars. It was an interesting read. All right, and so now we go on to the top 5. And number 5 for me was another Last Ember Press book called Fireside Tales. This was an interesting book. This is like, and again, an anthology book where it has to do with 3 separate stories. And again, if you guys want to check these books out, lastemberpress.com, go ahead and check it out. But it has these 3 stories in here called Fireside Tales, Charmageddon, Eek Little Monsters, Tin Town. Okay, so that's what it all is. And the cool thing is they all tie into each other. Now, the first story is about Charmageddon. Is about a little girl, and her name is Charlotte, and she has these superpowers, and she is in charge of her little town. And it's not this huge town, just a small little town. This book is written by a number of people. John Wilson does a couple of the stories. Brant Fowler and Lisa Moore does some of the artworks on here. But really good, really nice coloring in here. Decent artwork. Like the story where it goes. You wind up seeing a bank robbery in progress. And we find out that little Charlotte in here is playing her video games, whether it's a PlayStation or Xbox or whatever it is. She's playing video games, and all of a sudden she hears her name called out, and she winds up breaking through the glass of the bank, and she winds up taking these bad guys from the you know, stopping them. And we have one guy that takes her little teddy bear, and she gets pissed off, and she's like, nobody touches the bear, and she winds up kicking these bank robbers' ass. I think it was really, really funny. And then at the end of the issue, or at the end of this particular book, we get to see her mom, and she reads a story to her, and she goes to her mom, can you read me my little story? Yeah, read me some monsters. And she's like, of course, baby. So she reads the book, and then what happens is it ties into Eek Little Monsters, which is the actual story now that you hear the mom reading to Charlotte, and you get to see everything that happens in that storybook about the characters in there. And I thought that was really neat, how it ties into everything. And it tells about how their little roommate is trying to find a roommate wanted in their little haunted house. So it's all these little monsters that you've known for years and years, like Frankenstein, Werewolf, and Invisible Man, and all these other people. And you get to see them interact with each other. It's a really cutesy type of comic. And by the time you get to the end of that one, you wind up seeing that Eek's Little Monsters, their favorite TV show, is called Tin Town. And it's about all these little robots. And then the robots find out that they have this human baby dropped at their doorstep. And when they get I guess a sheriff or someone checking in to make sure that there wasn't any human life form in there, they dressed it up as a robot. So it was a really cool read, and I love how everything was tied in together. It was a really fun book. It didn't take a lot of time to read it, and it was good. It was creative and something different that I haven't watched before. So again, if you guys want to check out Fireside Tales, go into lastemberpress.com. Go ahead and order yourselves a copy today. So great stuff here. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Really surprised me here. All right. So next we go on to number 4, and then I'll take some more comments and questions. And number 4 was a funny ass book. This one was Where Monsters Dwell, issue number 3. Where Monsters Dwell has been a series that has totally impressed me for its type of creativity and just storytelling. I think Garth Ennis is the one that writes this. Yeah, Garth Ennis and Russ Braun is the artwork. Cho does the interior or the cover art in there, which is gorgeous, by the way. And we get to see all these women on this cover. And we get to see our main character in here just being held hostage or slave, which I think is hilarious in this book. So we find out that our two main characters, they crashed their plane. They had to make over their way to this island, and they come across to this tribe of just beautiful women. Okay, and his name is Carl Kaufman, and his sidekick there, Clemmy Franklin Cox, is her name. And they're kind of happy that at first that they came across these Amazon women. They're really happy about it, and they come in and they're just like, oh my God! And all I see is these beautiful women. And Clemmy is, you find out that she's on the other side, you know, and that's why she kind of never had a chance with the main character to begin with. Again, I keep forgetting his name. It's Carl. They never had a chance with Carl. But as the issue goes along, and he thinks he's just all on board with everything, that he thinks he's going to be the king and he's going to run things and he's going to be in charge because he's the only man. We find out that Clemmy does some talking to with these ladies, and she finds out that the only reason why he's around right now is because she's his slave. So, or he's her slave, or whatever it is. So she's in control of Carl. And as the issue progresses, and he sleeps overnight, and he's chained in the bottom of like the basement of the house or whatever it is. He's like this dog. You wind up seeing that Clemmy just winds up joining the group overnight, having this great tradition that they normally have. What is it called? This ceremony, or this whatever the word I'm looking for. But she becomes one of them, and she's in the the leopard bikini or whatnot. And I was just like, wow, that is crazy. And we wind up getting a little story of what has happened with all the males that have made it into this actual this island, and what has happened to them, how they've all perished in the same way. And then what happens is little Mr. Carl goes snooping around, and he finds out that the men are used for their seed. And it's just like, oh my God. And they come across these couple of guys who are only been there for 6 months, but they look like they're 90 years old because they keep on pumping them. And this one guy's just like, no more pumping, no more pumpkin. Now it's, what is this? What am I reading here? I was just dying while reading this book. And what happens is, now that he went snooping around and he did things that he wasn't supposed to, they made a bet. The girls made a bet with him. If they can beat their strongest warrior or into a fight, he would be released and let free. And so what happens is he goes against this like huge, ginormous chick, and she's like this wrestler babe. And I'm just like, oh my God. And all she does is punch him in the gut. And that was it. And he was on the ground. So the next thing you wind up finding out in this issue is that they're going to chop off his dick. That's all I can say right there. They has this little stand, and I think they were going to come off with his head, but it wasn't his actual head. So, actually his neck or everything, you get to see that right there. It's that little stand right there. And he's like, ooh, that's quite small, isn't it? And And they just sit there and they say, good point. If anything, it's probably a tad too big, and you get to see what they're going to do. I was just like, oh my God. What I just did not expect this from this book. I was just like, this is the last thing I expected. I thought it was weird that they came across a whole bunch of like Shaynas in this issue and to begin with. And I thought they were going to work together, but I never thought that she was going to go on her own and join the tribe, and then they were going to go and try to cut his dick off. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, what am I reading here? What did Marvel do? This is totally off the charts, but it made me laugh. I was laughing. I mean, what can you say? It's like, what is this poor individual going to do? But it's kind of like karma, because he's always been taking advantage of everybody, and it's coming around to bite his ass now. So I think it's kind of funny, actually, in my opinion, that now he's got to get himself out of this situation. So after reading this one, though, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the series overall. It's a good adventure book. And I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. No, 4.25 out of 5 stars, because maybe some people might not find this humorous. So I'm going to give this one 4.25 out of 5 stars. All right, so we're going to go into our top 3 after I take some of these comments. Just tell me what you guys think of that issue if you read it. All right. Definitely did not expect that from this series at all. At all. All right. We're going to reload some comments here. Let's see. I got a few more. All right. So we have, do you have a view on Cullen Bunn as a writer? I think he's a good writer. I think he does pretty good with Sinestro. He wrote his own individual series from Vertigo, which is, was it Wolf Blood or Wolf Moon or something like that, which started off okay. He wrote the Venom series, which I thought was pretty good. It was up and down. I'm trying to think of something else that he wrote recently. He does a series right now for Dark Horse, which I think is, I forgot, Harrow County or something like that. I forgot what it was called, but that's an interesting book. So I think he does a pretty good, I think he does a decent job with some of the darker books, and I think he is right in that the current Lost Army book, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes, he is. So that's why I really gave him a chance on this Lost Army Green Lantern books, because of his writing ability. So, all right. So next we have Battle for Bloodhaven Limited Series came out in 2006. It has also been released in trade. Okay, so I'll definitely have to look out for that. And would you like to see Kyle Rayner taking on major force in the current DCU? Yes. I would like to see Kyle Rayner back, and I would like to see him back as a Green Lantern. That's how I like my Kyle Rayner. I think he's a great Green Lantern, and I think I haven't read it since the White Lantern series. I halfway through, because I think halfway through, I think his book was it got boring and it got stale. So that is my opinion on that. All right. So next we have 1 minute ago, we have, what old Spider-Man villain do you think is really terrible? Bad guy. What did it say? What old Spider-Man villain do you think is a real terrible bad guy? Me, it is the Looter, aka Mirror Man. I don't like the Vulture. I think he's horrible. I just think they try so hard to throw him into the actual spotlight and try to make him a main character, and he's not. I just think that he's become so far down the line. There is just a character that they need to kill off, and it needs to be him. If there's a bad guy that should die and it's okay, it's the Vulture. That is my opinion. All right. Nick Lenz, Hail Hydra #1 was really good. It seemed like it picks up where Ian was seen in the all-new Captain America #6. Yes. Captain America series is really, really good. Is there any pre-New 52 titles that you would like to try out that you have not read yet? I'm trying to think. I would like to read a lot of them. I can't pinpoint anything, but I would like to read more Batman. I didn't read a lot of Batman. I would like to read maybe some Teen Titans, Young Justice, Supergirl, Power Girl, a lot of that stuff. I would like to check it because all these characters kind of, intrigue me, but I don't know really that much history, you know, beforehand. I've seen a lot of them. I read Green Lantern. That's the one thing I can say that I honestly read before the pre-New 52. All right. Let's see if I have anything else. Mike, do you have all 4 issues of the first volume of West Coast Avengers? Yes, I do. I have all 4 issues, and I have majority of the entire run. So I have most of those. And I'm currently in a process of a rotation of Marvel Classics, doing reviews on that series. All right. So anything else? Jay Tony says, "Hi, Mike. I'm a big fan of yours. Thanks for doing the show." Thanks for watching, Jay. I remember your comment last week when you said you couldn't watch all that much because you were at work. So awesome. Let's see if I have any more. And that might be it for right now. Yes, that is it for right now. All right. So I'm going to finish my top 3. Then I'm going to take my the last few comments, and then I'll sign off the show. All right. So number 3 this week for me was Justice League issue number 42, Dark Side War. I thought this book was really well done. Jeff Johns, if there's a guy that can write comics, it's Jeff Johns. And that's why I've been so turned off by Green Lantern, because we've been spoiled with Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern, and I still am today. And when you have a writer that's been on a series for like 10 years, that's what happens. That's what gets integrated into your brain. So with him writing Justice League, I love Justice League book. And in this book, it continues where we last left off, and we get to see what happens with Lex Luthor, because he got shot by his sister in the last issue, and we wind up seeing Apocalypse and Superman, Superman and Lex Luthor on Apocalypse. And we wind up seeing some great interactions in here between all the characters in this issue on what area they are in the comic book. And whenever something looked like it was about to heat up in this particular issue, we wind up seeing it kind of is like, well, stay tuned for part 3 of Dark Side War, and that's what happens. So you get to see the interactions on what they're going to do with Superman in here. And Jason Fabok's artwork is just phenomenal. The attention to detail that goes into this art is extremely well done, and I love every single page. And then you wind up seeing Wonder Woman doing battle against, I think her name was Grail, which is Darkseid's daughter in here. And then you wind up seeing the Anti-Monitor coming into play as well. Which is really interesting too. And so we wind up seeing, I think his name was Metron, coming in and taking everybody away. And he's trying to explain all the stuff that's going on in here too. Then you get Marina Black, who's talking with Mr. Miracle on what's going on with the situation, having her trying to team up with him. But then in the end, we find out that they don't want the same thing. So it looks like that you think Mr. Miracle winds up getting killed in this issue. And then you wind up getting towards the end of this issue, where you get to see all the rest of the Justice League members wind up transporting in here, and Metron trying to get them to safety and whatnot. And Wonder Woman used the lasso of truth, pulls him off the chair, because the chair is what gives him all the answers and gives him all the knowledge. And then Batman goes reaching for this chair, and he goes to sit on it, and it's just like he becomes this god now, and he has all the answers. And of course, the first thing, what does he find out? He sits there and goes, "Who killed my parents?" And that's the first thing that he asked. And it was just like, oh, damn, that's crazy right now. And he goes, "I am God now." And it's just like he has this different demeanor, the way he's sitting and everything. And it's just like weird. And then the next issue is like Bat God. So this is what I mean. Batman is everything but Batman right now. He's a mech. He is a god. He's everything but Bruce Wayne. But nevertheless, this was a very interesting read, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And it kind of just nudges the story just a little bit slowly each, segment that you read. And then it looks like, we're going to see how all these characters come together, and then how the story progresses out as, issue 3 and 4 and things go out. But definitely a great read, great character interactions in this book. Highly suggest this one. This one gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. Good stuff. All right, next, number 2. The book that didn't quite make it for me, but this was a great read. Good number 1, and hopefully it'll be a good story all the way through. And this was Guardians of Nowhere, issue number 1. This was a phenomenal read because in this issue, you actually get to see, what's it called, Gamora show emotion in this issue, and it was quite interesting. I loved it. And we get to see the Guardians in this book. They're the Guardians of Nowhere. That's what they're the Guardians of, not the galaxy, just nowhere. And there's this myth of, what Dr. Doom did with the celestial head and how people reside there. And so it was quite interesting. And the artwork was nice. It was detailed. I loved how space is portrayed in this particular issue. I thought it was really well done. And we wind up seeing that Angela comes, and she's trying to find out where this person is, which is Gamora. Okay. And we wind up seeing Drax and Angela just doing battle against each other because he's not willing to give up her location. And just the action throughout this issue was just phenomenal. And I think the artwork was done by Mike Deodato. And if you're familiar with his artwork, I think Deodato did the artwork in Original Sin. So this has that tone to it, okay? And what happens is Gamora finally shows up, and Angela wants to arrest her because she has left the actual boundaries of Battleworld or whatnot. And you're not supposed to do that. And so the cool thing about Gamora is, as you read the issue and the issue progresses, you find out that she still has her cosmic powers from Black Vortex. So it's cool that they have that little continuity in there, from the Black Vortex storyline. And as you see, the issue progress, we get to see Rocket actually rescue Gamora and bring her out. And Rocket's just going to town on you, just yelling at her and saying, how can you do this? How can you leave? How can you put us in jeopardy? You'll get us arrested. And she sits there and she sheds a tear. The first time that you have ever seen Gamora actually shed a tear, and it actually happened. And the emotion that was going through her, it seemed a little bit overwhelming. And she goes, I don't think there's a doom. She's like, I think it's a made-up story to keep us here, to keep us oppressed. So she realizes now here that there's something off, just like in some of the other Secret Wars books that you have read, that some of these characters know that something is not right. And I thought that moment made the book for me. It really, really did. And you can feel, that empathy for Rocket there on this page, that he kind of feels bad for her. And then at the end of this issue, you wind up finding out that some other character comes into play after Drax, and it's this dude right here. This is a cool page before I go into that. Look at that Rocket page. That's awesome. But then you go into this last page, and they go against this Yotat guy that's going after the Guardians here. And I was like, dude, this guy is beef, man. He's just like huge. So I was like, wow, that's a cool ending. I don't know who that character is. Again, if you guys want to, put it in the comments below, yeah, go ahead. But that was a great ending. And this was a great book. This is a great #1 book. And that's why they got #2 on my list. But there was one book this week that did hit it out of the park for me, just a little bit more. And I'm just a huge fan of the book, and maybe that's why it got #1 for me. And this week's #1 book goes to Invincible, issue number 121. I love the way Invincible is written, and this is done by Robert Kirkman. The artwork is done by Ryan Otley, and the inker here is Cliff Rathburn, and Cliff Rathburn does all the actual gray tones for The Walking Dead. So you got most of the creative team that's doing The Walking Dead is doing this. You just got Ryan Otley that's doing the artwork. And Ryan Otley's been on this book from the beginning, and his actual artwork in here has improved as the series has gone along. It's an enjoyable book to read. There's always great details to all the battle scenes, fight scenes, expressions, everything that goes along in this book. It's just a fun book to look at. I really enjoy that. There's some really graphic scenes that happen throughout this series. You know, when you've read it in the past, it just make your jaw just completely drop. And you know, I love the facial expressions in here. And this girl, her name is Monster Girl, and it's just the expression of just pissed off in here is great. But the actual story in this book is that if you've read Invincible, Earth has been taken over by this guy's name, and his name is Robot, and this guy right here. But he's tried to make it a better place. But in order to make it a better place, he's had to kill the people that are actually what's it called? Not good for Earth. So he's killed them all off. Anybody that he feels that is a threat, that is a danger, that's going to take over, just any of that stuff. And he's made it into a better place. But these Guardians of the Globe in here have been held captive all this time, and they want to escape. So after we come across the guy whose name is Immortal, he sets up this plan where he blows himself up, and he actually frees his comrades in here, and they're trying to take over Robot and everything that's going on. In the midst of this battle, you see Immortal sitting there going, "Where's my legs? Find my legs." And it's just so funny. But they have to do this battle against Robot and try to escape his clutches. And they do escape, and they wind up coming across, you know, finding out this secret hideout, and they have to try to come up with a plan in order to stop Robot. But what happens is he finds their coordinations, and this is what he looks at without his suit. His name is Rex, and he gives him not really an ultimatum, but he sits there and comes in peace, and he goes, "You guys now see what I've actually done since you've been in prison." He goes, "I'm going to give you another chance to join me. And if you don't join me, you know, I'll let more time think, and you can still think about it." But some people are coming to a realization that he's doing the right thing. And so Britt and some of the other guys wind up going with him, and then half of them stay behind. And Monster Girl just has that look on her face like, "You asshole," because Monster Girl and Rex had a relationship in the past, and they took over another world together. So she knows what his mindset is and how he gets obsessed with things. So even though this particular issue had nothing to do with Mark, who is invincible, and his wife, Adam Eve, and their baby Tara, it goes back onto Earth on what was going back on Earth before they left. So this was a really great read, and the storytelling is phenomenal. It never misses a beat. The tones are great in this book. Character interactions are phenomenal, and that's why this gets a #1 book for me. 4.75 out of 5 stars. Not quite 5 stars, because I always like my book to have the main characters in here, but they do a good job at using the supporting cast at making a very successful book, and that's not an easy thing to do. So that's why that got #1 to pick of the week. Close second behind Guardians of Nowhere. So next, guys, I have any questions or any other questions or comments. I would want you guys to let me know now while I get my Nook to actually get my Nook to reload here because it kind of dropped off on me. So just give me 1 second. So you guys tell me what your favorite books of the week were. Let's see if I get more comments here. All right, so all right. Besides the series you named, Cullen Benn has also written Deadpool Kills Deadpool, Deadpool versus Carnage. And a lot of those series that he wrote on Deadpool, I didn't like so many of because I was Deadpooled out. The Fourth Vulture was killed by the Punisher in Punisher #3 by Rick Remender. I call him the Red Vulture because his suit that he wore was red. He was the vulture that threw up on everybody, and I hated that guy. I could not stand him. Would you like to see Kyle Ryan? I'll take a more major force. Yep, so we read that one. We read the Spider-Man one. And let's see. Trying to see if I got any other comments. Gamora and just lost it. Oh, I just lost the comment. Gamora and Angela are really a couple. Okay. And let's see any new ones. That might be it. There's a lot of comments here, guys, so I definitely appreciate it. Okay. Angela wore her first outfit in Guardians of Nowhere #1, but in her own book, in issue 3, she has a new outfit. Okay, interesting. And let's see. Comments keep messing up on me. Dark Side War Part 2 definitely was my pick of the week. That was Tim. And trying to find if there was any other things. I think that was it. That might be on the comments for the week. Yeah, that's it, guys. All right. So yes, guys, that is it. If you guys do have any comments for the rest of the show, or when you watch this show, if you have any other comments, please put them in the comments below. And going forward, I will answer them when I check this video throughout its duration, throughout the week. Next week, I'm looking to have another co-host on here, as long as he confirms. His name is Mr. J's Comics Review. His name goes by Jeremy. Some of you may know him. He will be on the show next week, just to have to confirm with it. Otherwise, guys, if you want to be on this show, like I said earlier, please leave me your comments below, and I'll be happy to get you on the rotation with the cast that I already have on here, which is about 4 or 5 people. So, guys, as always, you've seen the worst, you've seen the best, and you've seen all that other stuff in between. Now, leave me your comments of the week of what your favorite book of the week was, what your least favorite book of the week was. And fans, as always, thank you for watching the Countdown Live, episode number, I think, 108. And fans, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spiderslayer signing off. Thanks for watching, fans. Take care. See you soon. Bye.